Google Ads not converting for my law firm is the most asked question on subreddit, and to be honest, it has nothing to do with Google's AI. Today I'm gonna talk about 3 most important things that we miss out, and that is why our law firm ads are performing really bad. So let's have a look at these 3 important things. Number 1 is insufficient data gathering. Number 2 is poor intake setup, and number 3 is poor feedback. You know what? At the end of this video, I have prepared a full guide that you can download and implement all of this stuff that I'm going to talk about in this video. And it would be great if you like, subscribe, and share this video so it can reach out to a lot of people who are still looking for this solution. Hi, I am Awaisul Haq. I am the founder and CEO of Time Technologies, and I help law firms cut down 70% of their ad and operational budget using smart intake systems. For a law firm or any sort of service business that requires qualification suffers from high competition and lead quality issues. And this leads to higher CPC, which means cost per click, and that really drains your budget. So the $1 million question here is, how do I do something with my ad account so it doesn't show ads to people who I do not want to work with? Because these people might have a conflict of interest, they might have a certain demographic or area where I don't want my ads to be seen. They might have a certain income level. They might have some issues with their past. So I don't want to work with them. Then why do I have to show my ads to them? So imagine a scenario where I could sort of tag these people or put a stamp on their foreheads that this is a qualified person for my law firm and this is not a qualified person for my law firm. And then somehow when they search something like PI lawyer near me, my firm or my ads just disappear. And if that person is marked qualified, somehow they are bombarded with my ads so they can book my service. So I wonder what that would look like if that was possible. So let me tell you, this is possible, and that's what I will tell you in this video, and I will help you understand that how you can also implement this in your ad account and in your firm to get more qualified leads and better signed retainers. So most law firms do not even know that this is actually possible, and it's pretty easy because it's a native feature in Google's ad account, which is known as auto tagging. So what it does is it gives a unique ID to a person who is clicking on your ad and then he visits your website, and that's great. But the question is, what's next? Now the thing is that ID is unique to the person, but somehow we got to capture that ID and save it within our cookies on our website. So this is where you start gathering the data and you try to save this ID, which is basically called Google Click ID, in the cookies, and that is done through a custom script or a hidden field within your website. So when the person is taking an action like filling a form or basically just visiting different pages to search about you and your firm, his unique ID stays within the browser. So, and that stays for 90 days, which means even if he clicks on your ad and he exits and he searches for other firms and then he later realizes that, oh, you are great, and then he comes back, the same ID stays there for 90 days. So you do not lose the track of that person. The story doesn't finish here, because now that we have saved ID, so we now have to look at the next part, which is the intake setup. Naturally, when a person visits your website and is interested, they would want to get in touch with you by either filling a form, booking on your calendar, or just simply calling you. Now you hop on a call and you ask some qualifying questions. It could be about their matter, it could be about whether they can afford your fees, if there was a conflict of interest, if there was something else about their previous history, whatever it is, and you basically realize that they are not fit for your firm. So you're like, oh, what a waste of time and the ad spend. But Google doesn't know that, because Google thinks any person who fills the form or calls you or books on your calendar is a qualified lead. But the reality is completely opposite of that. So how do I tell Google that this person isn't right for me because the qualification happens after somebody fills the form. It's not before somebody fills the form, right? But Google does not know that because Google thinks that the person has filled the form and he's sending more people who fill the form. So Google is doing a fantastic job. But the reality is that the qualification happens after somebody fills the form. It's not before that. So that's the big problem here. So what we do is, you remember the click ID that we saved earlier, the tag we saved earlier. So what we do is that tag, we basically map that into a custom field in your CRM like Clio or any other CRM that you use. And then we attach that data to the person who called you in the first place and you try to qualify them. Now in normal setting, obviously within your CRM, you could then mark them as qualified prospect or an unqualified prospect, which means now within your CRM, you have the cleanest possible data that you can send back to Google, and Google will then realize, oh, I've been showing ads to a lot of wrong people. What I need to do is I need to show ads to people who the law firm managing partner or the intake specialist thinks that is the right person. So let's do that. Let's get into the next part where we're going to learn how to send this data back to Google. We got to tell Google, hey, stop showing ads to people who are not qualified and show ads to people who are qualified. Show more ads, please. So to do that, what we got to do is we have to send this data back to Google, like I said. And the best part is that we have non-developer tools like Zapier, N8N or Make.com to create simple webhooks, which can send this data and feed it back to Google's ad account. So Google knows that, oh yeah, I want to keep this data and I want to optimize my ads for the kind of people that this law firm wants to work with. But if you're afraid of, losing some data because webhook sometimes fails, so you can also hire a developer like me, right? It's a self-promotion, but yeah, you can hire a developer like me to optimize and build a custom API so that you have no connection losses and the data securely transfers from your CRM to Google Ads account. Now, this actually flips the game because instead of Google thinking that it's doing a great job, you are now telling Google, no, you're not. What you got to do is you got to show ads more to the qualified people who I have marked on my CRM and not to people who I have marked unqualified. So this actually flips the whole game. Instead of Google being the big guy optimizing everything for you, you're essentially telling Google, oh, you don't do that. What you do is you take my data from the CRM and optimize for those people or similar kind of people who I think are qualified, not you. And that's how Google's like, oh no, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to waste your budget on showing ads to everybody who fills the form. Now I'm going to only show ads to similar kind of people who sign retainers with you. So imagine a scenario, right? You don't have to be in competition with millionaires or billionaires who have an average ad spend of like tens and thousands of dollars. You can keep the same ad spend and actually you can spend that 70% budget that was wasted before into more qualified prospects, because now you're optimizing the budget like a pro. So like I promised, I am going to put a link in the description with a complete guide on Google Click ID and how you can actually implement within your whole system. And do comment below and let me know what you think about this video. Thank you so much. See you again another time.